Hi everyone, welcome to a Broken Meeple preview video. This is going to be quite a quick one because I just want to give you an overview of what this new Scandaloh game is from Megacorpingames. This is the same company who brought you Awkward Guests, and I'm going to be using that name quite a bit because, well, let's just say there's a lot of similarities between the two. Scandaloh is an upcoming Kickstarter that should be taking place at some point mid-September, where you are using their fabled brilliant deck system, and this is just a prototype here, so these are not final copies by any means. But the idea is that there is a scandal happening. It's involving a celebrity, a newspaper, and some particular nasty story like, I don't know, embezzling money or something to that effect. And the idea is that each player will have a player screen and a bunch of cards which are dealt from this huge deck of cards here, this whole deck. You've got to go through a setup, find the actual difficulty you're doing, the scenario you're doing, of which there's a lot, and find all the numbered cards that come out of this deck. These decks contain various clues that you will use in order to find out more about what the scandal is. They'll cross out various things like saying that this person can't be involved with it. There's no way it could happen at this location. There's a possibility this story might have been involved though, and so on and so forth. All using essentially a letter notation system to help you with ease of filling out your personal sheet, shall we say, which has the things that you've got to cross off and deal with. So you're probably thinking, well, hang on a minute, this does sound quite similar. It is. If you have played Awkward Guess was essentially Cluedo done right. You basically had the same deck system, you chose the scenario, you built the deck, everybody got a selection of cards with the various clues on it, like saying that the spanner was used, it wasn't a bladed weapon, so-and-so couldn't have been in that room because the housemaid saw that Mrs. White was in the dining room at this time, that kind of thing. And you traded these clue cards with other players while trying to decipher for yourself, okay, who actually did the murder and with what weapon and how? And it's a really cool system, and it works great in Awkward Guests. This is basically Awkward Guests with a little bit of extra meat, and I do mean just a little bit of extra meat. The system is essentially as per Awkward Guess. You use that same deck of cards, you are trading clues with other players, except whereas here you are more interested in finding out what the, shall we say, the murderer, the weapon and the motive was. Here, you need to find out what the story was, as well as what celebrity it was including, what aliases that they had, like some contacts that could have helped them do this, and also which newspaper could have possibly published the story. Once you've narrowed it down to a certain amount, you're able to figure it out, and of course the first person to do that is the winner. So, honestly, if you know what Awkward Guess is like, you already know you'll probably like this one. But then you'll also probably say to yourself, do I need to own both? I personally don't think you need to own both. I think if you've got one, you're good with it. The question though is, which one would you prefer? This one does have a little bit of extra meat to it with regards to how this works. You've got some locations that you can call upon, which have different requirements as well. But not only that, in order to find out which contacts go with a celebrity, you've got essentially like a string mind map system here where once you work out certain clues, you're able to go, well, hang on, I can't connect that one to that one because I can't use that one in the contact, which means it must go via this route. And if it goes via that route, then maybe they're involved. And there's a little bit of extra thinking that you've got to do with regards to figuring out the story. So Awkward Guess is definitely a little bit easier to comprehend, and maybe a little bit easier in terms of like, I need A, B, and C, as opposed to this one, which kind of needs A, B, C, and a little bit of D, if you say. But the system is the same. It is this deck system, it is the cards, it is people saying, I want to find out more about Ed Enfield and the Patriot Daily. And then people looking at their hand and going, that's worth 1, that's worth 2. I could probably give you this card and maybe this card for 3 points worth. How about that? And the idea being that you exchange a fair amount of points each. So I might give you 3 points worth of cards. I expect you to give me 3 points worth of cards as well. The problem is that you're not always going to get the information you want to know, and sometimes you'll even get repeat information. It was a cool interactive system that added just that little bit of extra depth to, a typical deduction game, shall we say. This one is basically changing the theme up. There's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no extra player count compared to the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 player screens, so it essentially goes to 6 players. The other one went to 8. Whether this one will go to 8 players remains to be seen, although honestly, I don't think it needs to go to 8. I think if it caps it at 6, I think that would be perfectly fine, because honestly, I tend to play Awkward Guess with 4 or 5 max anyway. But you'll have more scenarios, they'll range in difficulty, and maybe your main idea of whether you want this game is going to be down to the theme. Because some people aren't comfortable with the whole murder theme that you get in Awkward Guess. And maybe they don't like the whole sepia tone that they use in terms of the graphic design and that. But here, you've got some colour, you've got more colour than in the previous game by far, but also it's a scandal, a newspaper scandal, which could be more, shall we say, closer to home than people think these days, but, you know, people aren't necessarily comfortable with a murder. So this one would be more up your street as an easier theme to get into. Both work very much the same though. I honestly don't see that you would need to own both of these games. But I do feel that if you're struggling to get Awkward Guess for whatever reason, then perhaps this is the Kickstarter you might want to jump onto. But then you might decide that maybe this one has interested you in Awkward Guess more. I mean, I dare say you should certainly pick up at least one of these two, because I have Awkward Guess in my collection and I really like it. It's a solid deduction game, whether played solo or in a group, although personally I prefer playing it in a group. This one should do the exact same thing, and so far it has. It's basically given me that same feel, it's just changed the setting a bit. That's essentially all there is to it. So are you interested in this game? Perhaps you already have Awkward Guess, or have you been interested in Awkward Guess for a while? Let me know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to leave a like, it means the world to me to know that you appreciate the content. The channel is sponsored by zatu.co.uk, and if you want to check out other content on the channel, you can check out my top 100, which is going in full swing as we speak. Take care, and remember as always, it's only a game. Bye for now.